Imagine you answered an ad one morning saying, volunteers needed, $15 a day to live in a mock prison for 2 weeks. You walk calmly into what you think is a harmless experiment. Now imagine that within 48 hours the guards start spraying fire extinguishers, forcing you to strip, treating you like a number, denying you sleep and something as basic as using a toilet properly. That's what happened in the infamous Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted in August 1971 at Stanford University. A group of 24 psychologically screened male college students were randomly assigned to roles. 12 prisoners, 12 guards, in a simulated prison set up in the basement of a university building. On day 2, the prisoners rebelled. The guards broke it by dehumanizing the inmates, removing beds and uniforms, mocking them, conditioning them into compliance. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks, but it collapsed in just 6 days because the participants, the so-called normal students, were breaking down emotionally, and the guards were so aggressively authoritarian that an outside visitor refused to stay any longer, confronting the lead researcher. What if I told you this wasn't just a bad experiment, but a mirror into the dark reality of how easily power corrupts when human beings are stripped of identity and placed under artificial systems? In this script, we'll dive deep. The recruitment. They were lured by money, selected for normalcy. The arrest scene. Real police. Mugshots. Chains around ankles. Number tags instead of names. That stripped participants of their dignity. The guards were given sunglasses so prisoners couldn't see their eyes. So no human contact, just power. The prisoners were awakened at 2:30 a.m., forced into push-ups, told to relieve themselves in buckets, led into solitary confinement labeled the hole, and the privileged cell trick. Guards separated good and bad prisoners, giving clothing and beds back to collaborators, isolating the troublemakers to sow distrust, crush solidarity. What lessons are hidden beneath the surface? First, that ordinary people in ordinary situations can commit cruel acts when given a uniform and an authority role, even without bad intentions. Second, that systems matter. The lead researcher, Philip Zimbardo, acted as the superintendent of the prison himself, blurring lines between observer and participant, and the experiment setup gave the guards unchecked power. Third, the ethics were horrific. Participants were told they could leave, but the system prevented escape. Control checks were weak, the environment was weaponized, and then came the ripple effects. This experiment holds a dark mirror up to real-life prisons, to wartime detention centers, to any institution where humans are reduced to numbers, roles, identity stripped, power unbalanced. The very fact that it ended in 6 days tells you something. The line between control and cruelty is thinner than we like to think. So what does this mean for us? In our workplaces, in our social hierarchies, in how we treat others? It's a warning. And perhaps the most chilling part, the participants weren't monsters, they were students, everyday young men, but the environment changed them. Remember, when systems de-individualize and roles dominate, humanity is fragile. So next time you hear someone say it's just the uniform or that's the system's fault, know this. The experiment proves a system can turn good people into bad actors. That's the dark reality few know, but it's all too real.